What's up guys, it's Nath here. So after getting 99 Invention, I wanted to continue grinding things that would help me with PvMing, and summoning was definitely a skill I wanted to get up, which I haven't worked on in months since I got 88 for Unicorn Familiars. So the goal in mind was to get 96 summoning for the use of the Pack Yak. These are beasts of burden that can hold up to 30 items, and their special move Winter Storage allows you to bank an item instantly. And on top of this, the secondary required to make the Pack Yak pouch are yak hides, which are substantially faster and easier to farm in comparison to War Tortoise shells for the level 67 Beast of Burden War Tortoises. So for most Ironmen, the difficulty of leveling summoning is the secondary supplies required, and sometimes even the gold, more so than actual charms. In getting 96 summoning, I wanted to pretty much be able to get there solely making granite lobsters, as granite is the secondary and it is rather easy to farm in bulk, with crimson charms also being relatively easy to farm from water fiends. So to start off, I had around 10,000 crimson charms and did water fiends over the next 2 days. At first, I did try using armadillo crossbows at water fiends and even tried the sun spear as a ranged weapon, but I didn't find it anywhere near as effective as using a dragon rider lance. Partially due to the increased damage from it being a higher tier weapon, but mainly because of the cleave abilities, which are really effective due to how crammed the water fiends can be, with soul split as well, always keeping my health up. Along the way, I did also get a number of invention levels, siphoning my gear as it was hitting level 12, getting all the way up to 107 invention, which is the requirement to make the Luck of the Dwarves ring. Now sadly, I never do clue scrolls and won't have the fortunate components anytime soon to make it, but it's something I do plan on doing once I get high enough thieving or Prifdanass pickpocketing. So 2 days later, and I did reach around 16,000 crimson charms, which I was pretty confident would get me to 96 summoning, with some left over to actually make Pack Yak pouches. So next I had to look into getting around 13,000 granite to make the granite lobster pouches. So the granite mine is pretty close to the bandit camp lodestone, so it isn't actually impossible to use a beast of burden and simply use the lodestones to teleport to and from the bank, although I've been collecting uncut gems for a long time and wanted an excuse to use them up. Along with the fact I'd much prefer to be able to just stay at the granite mine the entire time, making it kind of AFK. Now, last video I used all of my emeralds making emerald necklaces for the Sign of the Four Porters, which are now all used up. So my plan was actually to get 88 divination to make the Sign of the Porter 5, which requires ruby necklaces. So luckily I had more than enough rubies and cutting them was fast enough, and on top of that I still had plenty of gold bars, so I didn't need to spend any more time mining gold or making bars, and was able to make the rubies into necklaces relatively easy. Now, to actually make the ruby necklaces into porters, I needed radiant energy, which I had absolutely none of. So currently I was 87 divination, so although it did take me a day or so, I was able to get 88 divination and roughly the amount of energy I needed around the same time. And with that out of the way, I was able to begin making the Sign of the Porter 5s. Now, I didn't get enough energy to turn all of the ruby necklaces I made into porters, but by the time I was completely out, I had about 702, which would equate to over 17,000 granite mined, so I knew I definitely had enough. So now for the granite, an inventory of porters would last for quite a while, so apart from the fact you had to click every time for one granite, it wasn't too bad. Now, one thing I didn't think of in planning this was granite is mined in varying weights, being 500 grams, 2 kilograms, and 4 kilograms, which meant I realistically wouldn't need to mine as much as I thought. So although that meant I spent more time doing divination than I needed to, it was nice finishing with granite sooner than expected, and was able to turn roughly 3,000 granite into what I needed. So now with over 16,000 pieces of 500 gram granite, I had all the charms and secondaries to get 96 summoning and just needed enough gold to buy all the spirit shards I would use. Now, I had enough nature runes from magic shops and also over 3,000 rune swords from the smithing I did recently, and on top of that I had nearly 400 rune battle axes from Hellweir and over 200 rune two-handers from Twin Furies, which was actually quite some time ago now, and it actually managed to sit in my junk tab under the radar until now. So a few thousand high alchemies later, and I did have 63 million gold, which is the most I've actually ever had on this Ironman. and although I didn't know how many spirit shards I would need, I was hopeful this would be enough, which came out to a total of 2.5 million spirit shards. And with that, I was able to begin summoning. Now, I didn't bother waiting for Amlot hours, despite being aware of the buffs it does give, partially because I wanted to get through it as fast as possible, and also from the beginning I did all of my planning around not having that Amlot buff at all, so I knew regardless I would have enough to get 96 summoning. In saying that though, I got pretty lucky with 2 out of the 5 hours I was summoning being Amlot hour. And in no time at all, I did hit 96 summoning and unlock the Pack Yak, which I was extremely happy about. Now obviously I didn't expect to be 100% precise with my charms and secondaries because I didn't factor in Amlot hours or even spirit gems, but I was pretty shocked with how many charms and even granite I had left over. Including the other charms, I easily had enough for another level or even possibly 98 or 99 if I did only do summoning during Amlot hour, although it's not something I plan on doing anytime soon. So with that out of the way, all I needed to do now was farm yak hides and make Pack Yak pouches. So as I said earlier, farming these in comparison to tortoise shells for the war tortoises, or even raw bird meat for terror birds is extremely easy, with the only downsides being annoying doors and fences which close randomly every 10 minutes or so, and the fact yaks drop fur and meat which get in the way of group looting. But regardless, it didn't take too long to get 1000 yak hides, which I was confident would keep me going for quite some time. And with that, my goal was complete. With enough yak pouches and scrolls to keep me going for a long time, I'm now planning on camping the final Goldors 2 boss, Gregovich, and also checking out the new event, Dimension of the Damned, later this week as well. But that is it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.